Well, good evening and welcome to Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup presented by Michelin Racing, like the world has only ever seen it once before, right here on the historic half-mile oval that predates the existence of NASCAR. That's right, we're back at Martinsville Speedway for the second trip around the oval with the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup cars. This is going to be fun. Hi everyone, I'm Tony Laporta, joined high above this grand old speedway by a real veteran of endurance sports car broadcasting, Shay Adam. Happy to have you here at Martinsville. We talked a little bit earlier, but I don't even know the answer. Have you ever broadcast an oval race before?
Not where they only turn left, Tony, and thankfully I've got you to rely on, but even more so, thankfully we have another voice joining the broadcast, a guy who is a veteran of oval racing. Matt Yoakum, welcome to the broadcast.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've got the band behind us. You can just feel the excitement in the air. And the Mazda MX-5 Cup Series, it's not just a stepping stone. It's a destination series, no matter what your racing resume is. Like Earl Bamber, two-time Le Mans 24-hour winner. Rookie here on an oval. Can you describe how big the fun, but also how massive the challenge?
I mean, it's been an amazing fun day. I mean, to come to an oval, it's been a dream of mine always to come here and have a go. I've watched NASCAR many times, but it's such a challenge. There's a lot of really talented race car drivers starting sixth, and I don't really know what to expect. So there's a few people starting around. I said, if I do anything silly, I'm really sorry. I'm just learning for this first 50, and we'll give it a go later.
Can you imagine the headlines tomorrow? If it all comes together tonight, Bamber, the Le Mans winner, the IMSA WeatherTech winner, wins on the paperclip at Martinsville. It could be big.
I think it would be very, very big. And Shay, this is a talented field, this is a fast field, and this is fun racing. But I do truly think that is one of the major headlines in this event, is a two-time 24-hour of Le Mans winner, an IMSA GT Le Mans Series champion, Earl Bamber, deciding to come and play on the oval with the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup. This is really cool.
Yeah, he's a world endurance champion of the hypercar platform, still racing in that as his normal day job. Super Cup champion, Porsche Carrera Cup Asia champion, 3 times the winner of the Bathurst 12-hour, winner of the Spa 24-hour, Petite Le Mans just a couple weeks ago, the Indy 6-hour, the Sebring 12-hour. This man has won everything under the sun, and he is the first of the drivers desperate to come race in this championship. There will be many, many more who have already put their names on a list, but Earl coming in and doing this in the perfect opportunity, Tony, because there's no championship points on the line. We are here for money and a clock. Money
and a clock. It's a good combination. It's what they've been racing for here at the Martinsville Speedway since the 60s. 1964, I believe, was the year they handed out the first ever grandfather clock. It'll be a Ridgeway wall clock that will be handed out to the winning driver here tonight after 100 laps.
And a little bit of a fun fact, last year's winner was Jared Thomas, and he has one trophy in his house. It is the clock that he won last year.
That's awesome. So great looking shot of the grid there. We're getting very close to the command to fire engines, but you know, we got to tell all these folks here in the grandstands as a part of the NASCAR Cup playoff weekend what is going on here with these Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup cars. It is a purpose racing series with a car that was not purpose built to be a race car. The cars you see on that front straightaway, folks, or maybe you're watching through your monitor back home on IMSA or Racers YouTube channel, those cars came off the assembly line in Mazda's Hiroshima, Japan factory as purpose road cars, something you would buy to run around town, do whatever it is you need to do on the weekends, or maybe it's your primary. But they were given a second chance at life when they were sent to the state of Florida, where Fliss Performance out of Daytona Beach picks them up off of a ship in the port of Orlando. They take them to Daytona Beach and they rip out over 250 parts. They add so many extra parts and they turn these street road cars into purpose-built race cars that you can go out and make real money, Shay.
Yeah, and the important thing is they take the engine, they set it aside, they seal it. No fiddling at all with that engine. It's exactly what you get in an MX-5 that you would drive on the street. And the best thing about these cars, we've had 35 years of the Miata. This is the anniversary. 1990 is when they came along. There's been a lot of celebration of that. We've had 20 years of this phenomenal championship, and the cars are still as competitive as ever because they're all the same.
Yep, that's one of the best parts about this series. It is intentionally kept very, very level and very, very equal. Let's go trackside for the command to fire engines before the Virginias for Racing Lovers 300.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for. Please welcome Executive Director of the Martinsville Henry County Heritage Museum and lead for Virginia 250 Car Project, Holly Kozowski. And she is here tonight to say those most famous words in motorsports. Take it away, Holly.
On behalf of the Virginia 250 Car Project, drivers, start your engines.
Race cars, again, they were born to be roadsters, car you buy from the dealership and drive around town. I don't want to say go get groceries in, because I don't know if you're putting too many groceries in the back of an MX-5, but they now are race cars, and they will get ready to do battle. 100 laps here at the Martinsville Speedway that came to life back in 1947. This track, I said it in the opening, predates the existence of NASCAR. This is the only track left on NASCAR's current calendar that was on the first ever year of NASCAR national racing, and Mazda returns for its second trip here to this historic half-mile, 100 laps. And Shay, let's talk through the procedure here a little bit. The first 50 laps are important, but it's what happens after those 50 laps and a stage break for 5 minutes. That's when things get really interesting.
The first 50 laps is the jabbing stage of this. You're just figuring out what kind of race car you have. In the case of some of our drivers, that's even more so. We'll get to that in a moment. But in that first 50 laps, we get a yellow flag. Those laps do not count. In order to get to the 50 laps, they have to be green flags. So that's something to keep in the back of our mind. It's the second 50 laps that's going to make the big difference in when the race will be won. Of course, the race is going to be won at lap 99, or if we get a green-white checker. But in that 5-minute stage break, we've added a little bit of spice for this year.
Exactly. There is one new facet to Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup, presented by Michelin's annual fall visit here to the Martinsville Speedway. At that stage break, following the completion of lap 50, all the cars will be brought down pit road. They'll be given a 5-minute window once the last car in line comes to a stop in their pit stall. All of the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup cars are pitted down around the bend, down the front straightaway in through turns 1 and 2 on the inside of pit lane. They'll get a chance to stop, make adjustments to the car. They cannot change tires. They cannot add fuel. It's mostly a period to do any body repair for any damage that could have happened and make small chassis adjustments. Tire pressure, I believe, can also be affected.
Yes.
You just cannot swap any of those 4 Michelin tires. But the twist we talked about is during that 5-minute break, Matt Yoakum downstairs, I believe, is going to get one lucky fan. They're not lucky because they get to talk to Matt. That's lucky.
Well, they are.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons they're lucky. But the real reason they're lucky is because they will get to help determine the invert moving forward for the next 50 laps, and a number between 1 and 10 will be determined, and whatever number that hits on, 1 through 10, that's how many cars inside the top 10 will be inverted for the restart and the following 50 laps to the finish.
Yeah, so fans sitting in the grandstands, look at all the liveries, decide maybe which color scheme you like the best, or if you pay attention to this series and you want to reward a driver who maybe hasn't had the rub of the luck, or you want to help a driver who already has, you might get to decide. If it's your favorite driver in 7th place and you want him to be leading, or her to be leading, you can put them to the head of the field. So this is going to be a nice little bit of a jeopardy that's interjected into the race this year.
And before we introduce the starting lineup to you, let's talk money, because that is one big part of Mazda racing. They put money back into the pockets of the racers, the teams, and the families that compete with their series. At the stage break, following 50 laps, the driver who is scored in the lead position will pick up a check for $3,500. Second place at the time of the stage break will make $2,000, and the third place running car at the stage break will make $1,500. Tonight's win, following 100 laps of racing, will pick up a check for $25,000. Second place at the finish line pays $10,000, and the third car underneath the waving checkered flag will take home a check for $7,000. So there is serious money up for grabs in this Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup race.
$5,000 for 4th place, $4,000 for 5th place, and 6th through 10th get $1,000 each. So that means that more cars running in the field than not are going to leave with cash at the end of tonight. You gotta love this championship.
It pays to race with Mazda Motorsports. That is a certainty. So let's talk a little bit about the starting lineup and how the 16 drivers, teams, and cars will roll off for tonight's 100-lap race. Again, paying $25,000 to win. And the big news following single car qualifying, another new fixture that these drivers don't typically see during the road course IMSA weekends. The big shakeup comes after qualifying tech was completed. Nathan Nicholson, the driver out of Bloomington, Indiana, set the quick time overall at 23.370, but Shay, he will not lead this field to the green flag.
No, and it was his first time ever winning the pole position, but after going through tech, it was determined that the camber of the wheels were off. Now, there was a different mandate for the campers running here at Martinsville. Obviously, with the banking and whatnot, it's going to affect the way you set up your car. His car was well outside of the window, so ultimately that means that he was moved to the back of the pack. So Nathan is now starting last. His car was re-teched after the camber was addressed, but starting alongside of him is Tom Long, and Tom has had 0 laps at speed during practice. There was an issue with the brake line ultimately that resulted in every time he stomped on the brake pedal, the car would jerk to a different direction. Front and rear lines were crossed. That's never a good thing. So Tom is going out there today racing to end Alzheimer's on the side of his car. It's always a fan favorite and a wonderful organization. He's out there to try and do what he can to draw attention to that charity, and ultimately starting 15th, he could finish first, and he's more than capable.
Tom jokes that he's going to put about 6 layers of vinyl on the front bumper and try to come back with 0. Farhan Siddiqui and Ruben Caceres will start just ahead of him. Then it's the oval specialist Brandon Pierce with Ethan Tovo, the row in front of them. Sally Mott, the young lady out of the great state of Texas, lines up alongside Justin Ataconis. And then you've got Jackson Tovo and Bobby Gossett. Earl Bamber starts in the 6th position with Jagger Jones starting in 5th, grandson of the world-famous Parnelli Jones, a 2-time Indianapolis 500 winner. 4th place is going to be the local man, Capers Zentmeyer, from right here in Martinsville, Virginia. Weston Workman in front of him. Jeremy Fletcher and Frankie Barroso share the front row as we get ready for 100 laps of side-by-side racing. I can say that because we saw it here 1 year ago.
And Frankie Barroso, I had a talk with him. It's also his first ever pole position, the young man out of Miami Springs, Florida. He said the most nerve-wracking part of qualifying was the fact that he was one of the first people to go out, Tony. He set a time, and then everyone else had to match it. He was so nervous that his crew chief actually was saying he felt like throwing up the whole time. The crew chief did, not Frankie, because every time a car went by, you thought, oh, well, there's the pole gone. Oh, we're still first. Oh, well, there's the pole gone. Oh, we're still first. And that's what they went through for more than half an hour.
So Frankie Barroso outlasts the competition. Jeremy Fletcher, your front row, Weston Workman, and Capers Zentmeyer. Zentmeyer from right here in Martinsville. We're starting 4th. Jagger Jones and Earl Bamber, the Le Mans winner, starts in the 6th position. Ladies and gentlemen, 100 laps of side-by-side door-banging action coming to you. It's the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup presented by Michelin, and for the 2nd time in the series history, they are racing on an oval.
Great start by Barroso, and Workman paired right with him. Weston starting 1 position further back than he did last year, but he knows what it takes to be at the front of this race, and he is being very wily on the start as Jeremy Fletcher, our series champion, dives up into 2nd.
Barroso made an interesting comment to me after qualifying and after the penalty was handed out to Nicholson. A little bit of bumping and grinding back there for the 2nd position as Jeremy Fletcher is going to hang tight. Hang tough, rather, on the outside. Fletcher's going to slot in now to 2nd. But Barroso made an interesting comment, Jay. He said, last year, well, I was just really fighting for my life, trying to survive out there. And now he's got the whole field behind him. But he has done a very good job. It would have been one thing to see him slip back and not be able to handle the pressure. But he's going to lead lap number 2 here. It's a long way to go, but he's doing a very good job.
He's doing an excellent job. And another guy doing an excellent job is the local hero, Casper Zentmeyer. He's hanging it tough around the outside. He was just wide on the outside of Jones, and now he's on the outside of Bamber, and now he finally slots back into the 7th place. Casper, though, racing with some big names and proving he belongs out there.
Yeah, Capers Zentmeyer, the local, doing a really good job, and it's tough when you get hung out around the outside, really in any kind of oval racing, especially around the relatively flat. Martinsville Speedway is not flat completely. There is banking in the corners, but I've watched NASCAR races around this track on broadcast television for years, and Shay, I'm sure you might echo this sentiment after being here for the first time yesterday. There is banking in these corners. Earl Bamber found out in practice number 1. He didn't realize it was as banked as it really is. Ataconis there going to work with Bobby Gossett in the number 44. That was the race for 7th position, and it doesn't look like it's done yet, as Gossett is going to give up space around the top side there, and then he's going to have one of the Tovos. That's Jackson Tovo in the 81 coming to call with his brother Ethan right behind.
The two Tovos running together, the Tovo twins. It is Jackson leading with the orange accents on his car, and then Ethan behind with the yellow accents on his car. But right behind them is Nathan Nicholson, the guy who set the fastest time in qualifying. He's now moving his way, trying to break into the top 10 after starting dead last.
Nicholson said he still felt really good about his race car. He thinks he has the best race car here. Of course, his time in qualifying would lead you to believe that if that's all you knew. But again, after suffering a penalty for having too much camber in the car in post-qualifying tech, he's going to have to come from the rear, and he's already going to work picking off several cars. Nicholson scored in the 10th position after starting back in the final row of this race. He'll go to work on, who is that, Jackson Tovo, yes, I believe, in the 81.
You're right, and then in front of Jackson Tovo is actually Bobby Gossett, so that's a really good three-car battle that's stacking up in front of them. At the lead, it is still Frankie Barroso, and that is worth mentioning because now in his young career, he has led 7 laps. He's done, what, 5 previous races before this green flag.
Nicholson got the pass, and now we go for the lead here. That's Jeremy Fletcher in the 22-year series champion here in 2025 with Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup presented by Michelin Racing, but he is being hounded by the driver who completed his first ever laps on an oval here 1 year ago, Weston Workman. He started second, he led at times, and he ended up finishing second after a very close finish at the end on that final restart. A green-white checker to let Jared Thomas to root Weston Workman up and out of the way. Workman in that purple number 13 for BSI. Little Caesars on the hood and on the doors. Man, that's going to be really hard to not say pizza pizza every time he makes a pass out there. I'm going to try. I'm going to keep my eyes on him, I promise.
You try not to do that. That's been my struggle all year, and especially when his dad, Wesley Workman, has been so good about bringing pizza in for the BSI crew, with Shea Holbrook and Andrew Carbonell and everybody down there doing very good work all season long. They won the season championship for the best team, did BSI. 10 points over McCumbee McAleer Racing, and now it's McCumbee McAleer Racing going for the lead of this race as Jeremy Fletcher, the champion from this year, takes the lead in a decisive move going through turn 3.
It's not a surprise because Fletcher's been so good for victories on the IMSA calendar, and that's what set him on the path to pick up the 2025 championship with Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup Racing. So that's not a shock, and this isn't meant to come off as, oh, what a surprise, but wow, Frankie Barroso is now he's going to give second place up to Weston Workman. My hat is off to Frankie Barroso. Again, he was fighting for his life, just trying to survive this race last year in oval competition for the first time, and for him to go out there, lay down such a good lap in qualifying, and then to hold the lead for the opening 10 laps, that young man drove a very smart opening stint to this race. Jagger Jones now is going to come to call, though, in that number 86, Chick Hicks.
Man, Nathan Nicholson has something to prove tonight. Still has never won a race in the Whelen MX-5 Cup Championship. Almost won the championship this year, despite that fact. And he was going up against guys who had won 5 and 4 races over the season in their own right. So that tells you the level of consistency that we get from Nathan. Very fun young man. His fun fact, he can drive a forklift, and he actually operates one for his parents' masonry business.
Are you familiar with all the I'm forklift certified jokes?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, that's pretty cool. That's great. Nathan Nicholson, he does have a lot to prove after having the pole position for this race taken from him in post-race tech. Of course, rules are the rules. You got to stay within them. But as he is hard charging up to the pack, they joked earlier and said, what does that hard charger award pay? And we'll get those numbers to you a little bit later on.
Well, it's $500 during the regular season for the Penske Shocking Performance Award, but that is not something that's being offered tonight. So we just have to go out there and win the race in order to get the most amount of cash possible, as Earl Bamber has now made his way up to 3rd, and the battle for the lead is consistent of Weston Workman, feel like we've said that around this place once before, and Jeremy Fletcher.
Yeah, that's going to be the fight for the lead for quite a while here, as those two have absolutely gapped the rest of this field. But I mean, you know, you never want to come off condescending as an announcer, Shay. And so when I say these things, it's not meant as a put down or anything, but I am blown away by how well Earl Bamber has taken to an oval. He raced, or he didn't even race, he tested a Legends car once before, and then they tested out at New Smyrna last week, I believe.
Yep.
And then today, practice 1 at 12 noon, practice 2 later on in the afternoon, and he's out there running for the race lead here as a battle for the top spot. Weston Workman down to the inside in turn number 3. It took him a lot longer than this last year to take the lead. You wonder what he can do with it now that he has it so early in this race.
Are you going to say it?
Oh, yeah, pizza, pizza.
There we go. Yeah, for Weston Workman, coming here last year, it was just a revelation. I mean, the young man, we have no surprises over what he can do in a car. He won the Rookie of the Year championship last year. The biggest surprise was all the bad luck that he had for the 2025 season. Still finished in the top 10 of the season-long championship, but no wins. That was the big surprise. Weston is looking to set that right. He does not want to leave the 2025 Mazda season without a victory next to his name.
So we've got a good battle here between Weston Workman and your 2025 regular series champion, Jeremy Fletcher. Sounds like Matt Yoakum down in the pit area has a bit more on both of these racers.
Well, we documented last year's event where we had the great, exciting, epic finish, and I talked to Weston Workman just about that, and I said, did you watch last year's race, and what'd you learn? He goes, the one thing I learned, you don't want to be the leader on a green-white checkered, but you've got to be on the bottom. That's where all the grip is. They're just not that much up top. You know, when I was talking to Jeremy Fletcher earlier, and I said, setup-wise, approach, is everything the same as last year? He said, the setup is, but the driver isn't. I've done a lot of Legends car racing on ovals, just trying to get a different mindset. So I'm driving the track a little bit different than last year, but setup-wise, it's the same, and it's working for both of them, putting on a stellar fight at the front.
I think that's so telling, Shay, of how successful this race at Martinsville Mazda's debut on an oval was last year. So many drivers who are road course regulars and road course only drivers told me that in the last year they have gone out and pursued more opportunities to race on oval. Sally Mott did that. Yep. Weston Workman, your leader, has raced a micro sprint on dirt at the Millbridge Speedway in North Carolina. You just heard Matt's report on Jeremy Fletcher. This race last year was some of these young drivers' first time ever on an oval, and most of them enjoyed it so much they went out and found more ways to compete on an oval, not just in preparation for this race, but because they enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, it whets your appetite. It's a completely different style of racing to what we're used to. To some people, it fits better. To others, they don't understand it as much. Maybe they don't want to do it again because they couldn't wrap their heads around it. But everybody that you see on the track here tonight is here because they wanted to be. And whether it's something that they've been thinking about for 12 months or something that came up 2 weeks ago as an opportunity, the feeling is the same. It's ecstasy right now to be out there racing under the lights, and that is only going to grow as we get closer and closer to the checkered flag.
Good shot right here of Sally Mott and Jackson Tovo. She was the driver I was naturally just going to go into talking about next. So Christina down in the truck nailing it with these cuts. Sally Mott got out of the car after this race last year, and her dad Robbie, who I'm very fortunate to say I got to call Robbie when he was racing go-karts back home in their state of Texas. Sally got out of her car after this race last year, and Robbie said she had never seemed more happy or more excited at the completion of a race. And because of that, and because how much she enjoyed oval racing, Sally has kind of shifted her goals now, it sounds like, and she's pursuing more of a career in short track pavement racing. And you see her sponsor on that car, Coble Properties. Sherry Coble owns that company based out of Sarasota, Florida, and Coble Properties has been on a race car that Sally Mott has driven ever since her debut here in Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup racing. And together, Coble and Sally are setting their sights on breaking in to more pavement oval racing. Sally says, dream come true, one day she's racing on Sundays in NASCAR.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not as if she hasn't found success in the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup Championship. She won the shootout scholarship in 2023 for the female recipient. She came into the championship the last 2 years. She's finished 12th in the season-long points points battle. And if you want to know more about her struggle, you can watch on Amazon Prime, and I shouldn't say struggle, her journey. On Amazon Prime, Mazda did a docu-series this last year called First to the Finish, and it features Sally amongst others in the paddock, including team owner of BSI, Shea Holbrook. It's one of those things that if you've got a little bit of time, go watch the 6 episodes. You'll become a fan of Sally and Heather and Shea, and no, I'm not speaking about myself in third person, by the way, but it is really worth a bit of your time. For Sally Mott being out there, though, when I went over to see her yesterday, I said, glad to see you back. She was beaming.
Yeah.
From every single pore of her body, you could tell she was excited to be here. And she's reunited with her crew chief, Brad. This is just a wonderful opportunity for Sally.
Sally Mott right now running in the 10th position, hounding the number 44 of Bobby Gossett. In this race last year, Sally started in 13th, finished 11th. So now as she's fighting inside the top 10, she's already off to a much better start than this race 1 year ago, as we've completed 30 laps, which means only 20 to go here till the stage break at lap 50. And again, $3,500 on the line to the driver who is leading at the stage break. Still a good fight here between Gossett, Mott, and that's going to be the 81 of Jackson Tovo, his not his younger brother, his twin brother, Ethan Tovo, right behind them. Chicago natives, they relocated to North Carolina just a few months ago, this August, to be even closer, like Sally is trying to pursue more oval racing opportunities. The Tovos, super well spoken, very polite, great young guys. They're great race car drivers, but they're great to talk to. They're definitely on the right path, as now Sally Mott is finally going to get the inside line here on Bobby Gossett as they continue to try to sort out this fight for the 9th position. And Mott is going to get around Gossett. I didn't get a good look at that, Shea. Did she use a little bit of the bumper?
I didn't see any contact on that. I think that was fair and clean.
All right, so now Sally Mott up from 10th to 9th as she continues to improve on her 11th place result from 1 year ago here around the oval.
And she brought Jackson Tovo with her. So now Ethan Tovo, the other of the twins, will be looking to try and make the pass on Bobby Gossett. All 3 of those cars being run by McCumbee Mackler Racing. So they're all out of the same trailer, as it is a sparked sandwich, because at the back of that 5-car train is, woo, Jackson Tovo got a little bit wide, and that'll open the door back up for Bobby Gossett. At the back of the train is another one of the Spark Performance cars, and that's Ruben Contreras. So glad to have Ruben back in this race as well. He's only run a couple of Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup races in the season. So seeing him back in Martinsville, you know that he circled this one and maybe put a couple of exclamation marks next to it too for which one he wanted to do. 15
laps left here in the first 50 laps, and our leaders have caught lap traffic. Farhan Siddiqui in the Lightning McQueen sponsored number 95 is about to be put a lap down, and as Weston Workman and Fletcher have caught up to him, Shea, this has allowed Earl Bamber to reel them in. Siddiqui sees the blue flag. He moves up and out of the way. No change in position amongst the top 3, but Earl Bamber is as close to the lead as he's been this entire race. The Le Mans winner is fighting for the lead at NASCAR's oldest oval. I don't think that's real life right now.
Cue the Jaws theme music. And just to point out a difference between last year and this year. Last year, the first lap traffic car was hit on lap 18. This year it was lap 36, so that just tells you the comfort level of every driver in the field and the fact that we have such tight competition. But I am loving this battle for the lead. Oh my gosh, BSI versus MMR versus Hendricks Motorsport, and it is on.
Let's see what the front 3 can do here as they are tightly packed together. Siddiqui still the lap car that separates the front 3 from 4th, 5th, and 6th. So this truly is a 3-car battle here to the end of the stage. How they are all running now means each one of those first 3 cars, Weston Workman, Jeremy Fletcher, and Earl Bamber, would leave here with a little bit of money in their pocket. The question is who gets what amount. Workman out in front, $3,500 gets paid to the leader at the time of the yellow flag coming out on lap 50 once every car has completed that halfway point. But Jeremy Fletcher doing a very good job. And a big talking point in oval racing, Shea, is always saving your equipment, saving your tires, and making sure that you have the race car there at the end of the race. So many different drivers, so many different crew chiefs, so many different car owners told me it's actually not so much about saving our Michelin tires, because Michelin brings such a well-rounded tire. The tire can last for 100 qualifying laps, Chad McCumbee told me. The real game is saving your mechanical parts on your race car and not damaging them, not bending them, not breaking something, so you can race for the big money down around lap 90, 95, 100.
So in other words, telling maybe Jeremy Fletcher to save your front bumper, don't hit Weston Workman so many times in the corner between 3 and 4, because you might need to hit him in the corner between 3 and 4 at some point. So maybe just don't push everything a little bit closer together as he's done. He did it most recently 2 laps ago. It was just a little love tap, but it was a gentle reminder that, hi, I'm right here.
And it's a reminder that these cars are very resilient. Fliss Performance, the constructor of these cars, like I said, they take possession of a purpose-built roadster, something that you would have bought at your local Mazda dealership. The folks at Fliss Performance in Daytona Beach, you might remember them from Spirit of Daytona, they build this car out of the bones of a street car, but not just the bones, the heart, Shay, as you mentioned, the engine that comes in that production vehicle is what they are racing with out here. Andres Valdez at Fliss Performance told me it's genuinely, actually more economically feasible for these teams to just get a new engine versus sending it back for rebuilds every year, every 2 years. It's a rear end and a transmission. They usually try to update, I believe, at the end of each race season. And other than that, you can put multiple years on a power plant, and when it's time for a new one, it saves you more money to just get a new engine and put it in versus trying to do rebuilds week after week after week.
It is by far the most cost-effective form of racing that I know of and that I'm actively a participant in, because a full season is potentially paid for by winning the championship. There is no other thing that I can think of where you can actually win your entire season back. And that's just from being here, from doing well. It's a really fun thing to go out there and watch so many different people come in and have an opportunity, because effectively Mazda pays to play.
Yeah, it's true. It's one of the last forms of pavement oval racing where you can make money by showing up and running well. Inside of 5 laps to go here quickly, let's go down to Matt Yoakum for a little bit of update on tonight's invert.
And talking about the money, Nathan Nicholson's strategy is simple. If he's not going to be in the money first, second, or third at the halfway, his strategy is to run 5th. He feels like with the invert, if he splits it in half, whichever way the invert goes, he should be in a much better position. And where is he running right now? 5th.
So already a little bit of thinking going into this race, kind of considering, all right, where am I? Do I have a chance to run for this money? And then, okay, if I'm not, how do I set myself up the best I possibly can? As Nicholson's trying to continue to improve his position. That's Nicholson in the middle of a fight right now for the 4th position. Jagger Jones in that green number 86 has the 4th spot. Nicholson runs in 5th. And then right behind him, that's Justin Ataconis in the 6th position, driving the 23. And Frankie Barroso, remember your pole sitter for this race, still holding strong in the 7th spot right now as we near the end of this opening stage.
And right now, the only cars running in the 22-second range are those first 3 out front. They are trying to secure their money at the end of the next lap. We will be halfway through this thing, so it is almost time for Mazda to pay for the first time tonight.
Leaders head down the back straightaway, and Earl Bamber told our Matt Yoakum at the start of the broadcast, hey, if I don't know what I'm doing out there and I'm in the way, I apologize ahead of time. He's here to have some fun. Well, I don't think he's going to have many apologies to make at the end of this first stage. Now, he might have a few apologies to make if he ends up using the bumper later on at the end of tonight's 100 laps, but that is 50 laps and a 5-minute stage break away as we're waiting for our final car to come across the line. Farhan Siddiqui clicks off that last lap. A few cars left to go across, and we see the yellow flag displayed now as Weston Workman picks up the stage 1 victory, if we can call it. He is the leader at the halfway point, which means $3,500 into his pocket.
How many Little Caesars pizzas would that buy?
Well, at $5 per hot and ready, although I don't know what inflation's done to that recently. You know, I don't know. I'll probably get my shoes off and start doing math on my toes, and I'll get you that number here in a little while. But it is the Little Caesars sponsored number 13 Weston Workman getting the job done, and a very different race than he had here 1 year ago, where he spent the majority of the night, I believe the entire opening stage, smelling the exhaust of Jared Thomas. And tonight, very different. The shoe is on the other foot as Workman leads at the halfway point. Behind him, your series champion from 2025, Jeremy Fletcher in 2nd, and Earl Bamber in 3rd.
And we should point out that if fans around the track are wondering why the Lightning McQueen car just went by and passed the safety car, well, the first car a lap down is effectively the lucky dog, gets a lap back. So that's why Farhan gets that. He was the only car not on the lead lap. So when we resume, everybody is still in play.
Let's go downstairs to Matt Yoakum to find out what tonight's invert will be for the next 50 laps.
It's going to be the Matt and Matt show, because I've got Tony Hirschman Jr., who is a 5-time modified champion. He's here. He's going to be my helper tonight. So, Matthew, go ahead. You're going to pull out the chip out of our Mazda Motorsports hat, and that's going to be the number we're going to invert. So go ahead and pull it out.
7.
Number 7. There we go. Let's show it to the folks at home.
So a 7-car invert, and wouldn't you know it?
What? The Hirschman family, trophies, championships, they are always winners. And little Matthew pulled out lucky number 7. So it's going to be big tonight. Thank you, Matty.
Frankie Barroso, your pole sitter from qualifying. He got a shot to lead the field of the green flag, and he did a great job. He led the opening 10 laps before Jeremy Fletcher came to call. Well, Frankie, you did such a good job at it. We're going to let you lead the restart with another 50 to go, as he is the 7th car. He lands on the invert perfectly, and he will go back to the front once we restart.
Well, and I kind of love that there's a little bit of symmetry in all this, because the invert would be Barroso, Adaconis in second, Nicholson, Jagger Jones does not move because he was P4, then Bamber, Fletcher, and Workman if we do a true invert. The reason that I'm laughing is because Weston Workman has been the one leading out there for all this time. Weston, a North Carolina native. He's about 2.5 hours, depending on traffic and how quickly he drives to try and get home. Do you know who his roommate used to be?
I don't know who his roommate used to be. I know who his roommate currently is, but who did it used to be?
Justin Adaconis, who's going to jump up to P2.
Way.
Yeah.
No way.
So this is hurting one of them, but benefiting the other. And I'm sure that Justin will be laughing to himself a little bit, knowing that at some point he and Weston are going to be very close to each other on the racetrack.
Well, I love this idea of an invert. It's very fun. We have something similar in sprint car racing, and all it does, just like the choose rule that we didn't need to see come into effect because there was no yellow, so no need of a restart in the opening 50 laps. But all this invert does, folks, is it puts the faster car a little bit deeper in traffic. I've seen some races where they do a full field invert. This is not that aggressive. The driver in 7th will now go to the front of the field, and the driver who was leading at the time of the stage break, Weston Workman, he will restart in 7th. All that means to me is we get the opportunity to watch Weston Workman, Jeremy Fletcher, and Earl Bamber, your front 3 by darn near a country mile, pass some cars and make their way back up through the pack in this next 50 laps. I think the invert was a fantastic addition here to this year's race.
And just to let everyone know, the clock has not started yet for that 5-minute period of time. It starts when the last car gets into its pit box. And since we're still trying to shuffle around a little bit and make room for everybody to come into pit boxes, there are a lot of McCumbee McAleer cars here tonight. So while we wait for the last one to make its way into the pit box, then we start the 5-minute clock. Then all the crews can touch their cars. They can't do anything yet. There's nothing that can be done until that clock begins. So there's nobody who's going to get an advantage of, well, your car was in the box for 6 minutes and 12 seconds. You got to work on it for that.
A little bit of maintenance getting ready to start down on pit lane. Let's go to Matt Yoakum, who's standing by with a guy who only does maintenance on that sharp-looking head of hair from Mazda Motorsports, Jonathan Applegate.
And I'm going to tell you right now, Tony, there is no coincidence that we are standing over by the hot dog stand. But, Jonathan, when you look at the excitement all day, last year, this year tops that. There's just, when you come to Martinsville, this series puts on such a stellar show, and we're getting ready to see a barn burner again.
Exactly, and what an honor and a privilege to be here to start off NASCAR playoff week at the historic Martinsville Speedway. We couldn't dream this up. So I'm just so thankful for Clay Campbell and the team at Martinsville Speedway, NASCAR leadership, as well as IMSA, to really just kind of orchestrate this for Mazda and get us here. The fans are amazing, and we put on a show last year. We're hoping that at the halfway point we can turn that around and make that again another exciting second half for everybody here at the racetrack.
When you talk to the 16 drivers, the one constant is, I'm excited to be here. I want to win here because of the clock. But it was also nerve-wracking because this is the iconic Martinsville. So this checks a lot of boxes for, doesn't matter the age, because this is a destination series. So whether this is where you want to live for your racing career or move on, this is a place that holds so much history, and it's just amazing to them.
And that's what's special about this place is we're producing racers, drivers, and talent that are coming from the road course side and IMSA side, where everybody's used to seeing from a race fan's perspective. But we're also mixing in circle track guys and guys like Earl Bamber, a legend in and of himself. So to have that mix of drivers to come out here and want to put it on the podium and produce a win here at the historic Martinsville Speedway, that's just an exciting moment and a historic moment for Mazda, Martinsville, NASCAR, and everybody involved. So we're just excited.
And you can have a trophy, and it's in the trophy case, and you'll have to tell people, oh, I wanted this track for this. But when you've got a clock, there's no question where you won.
Matt, thanks a bunch. Jonathan Applegate. Well, he's just a special guy. Of course, he's standing over by the hot dog stand. He was giving me grief about it earlier today, wondering how many I've eaten. And I just, I said, hey, Jonathan, that's personal information. Whether it's been 4 or 6, it doesn't really matter. I like that they sell them in bags of that quantity. Have you had a chance to sample the local fare here yet, Shay?
Well, I mean, you've got to be cost effective. The more that they sell, the less money you're spending, right? In the long run, per hot dog, so
yes.
You got to get more.
If there's fewer in the concession stand, I can't buy them.
Exactly.
That's smart.
So yeah, I'm helping you out definitely with all of this going on down there.
That's making a money move.
But I think with what's going on right now, as far as our leaders concerned, this might have to be a little bit of a pizza affair later on. If Weston Workman is able to work his way back up to the front of this, we might have to have a different dinner plan coming up later. But hello to everybody watching at home, whether you're on YouTube or racer.com following along. I see that the mention of the hot dog stand has absolutely blown up the chat. So
I told you they're world famous.
They are world famous, and let us know if you guys are at home enjoying a hot dog, or maybe if you're going to go out and get a pizza later on, depending on how this thing goes down.
Nothing like a home hot dog. That's what I always say. Speaking of home hot dogs, Dave Dusick and Bo Barfield are tuned in live right now. Watching. There are a couple of home hot dogs. Look at Applegate right there. He's eating a hot dog. We see him live. He doesn't hear us on the PA yet, but that is Jonathan Applegate, and he's gonna have to do some extra crunches for that hot dog right there. But he's earned it. He looks on fleek, as the kids say. He's got these new sunglasses. They're really aggressive, but Jonathan Applegate, he makes the Mazda Motorsports world go round, and he's double fisting the hot dogs. This is breaking news here live.
A man of the people, a lot like Bo and Dave watching back at home. We've got a lot of friends all around the world tuned in, and hello to all of you people who have loved Mazda for a long time. Hello to all of you who are maybe stumbling across our series for the first time and wondering, I wonder if anybody I know has ever come from this form of racing. Well, obviously, we're on a NASCAR weekend. Connor Zilic cut his teeth in our championship. So if you want to see the stars of tomorrow, come look at the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup Championship. When we run full season, we create names of the future, and it's definitely a place where we have a lot of fun, too, as you can tell from Jonathan.
That was a cool shot right there a moment ago. No, I'm not talking about Jonathan Applegate keeping hot dogs from everybody else here at Martinsville Speedway. Nathaniel Sparks and Brad Little leaning in, talking to Sally Mott. Sparky has just been such a mainstay in Mazda MX-5 Cup racing, so it's great to have him still out here on the road, fielding cars in an exhibition event. Remember, this is not a points-paying championship round. They wrapped up back at Road Atlanta, 2 weeks ago, and so all the teams and drivers who are here for the fun, they're here for the glory, and they're also here for that money. $25,000 on the line, but that's once we reshuffle the order here after that 7-car invert was pulled.
Yep, and that's what's happening right now on the backstretch. We've got Frankie Barroso up into P1. We've got Justin Adiconis into P2, Nathan Nicholson P3, and then the only driver who does not move is Jones. So Jagger will be very happy with that. Then he's going to have Earl Bamber right behind him. Might be a little less happy about that. Jeremy Fletcher back into P6, and then the man who led the way for the most amount of time, Weston Workman. And then the rest of the field is as you were. So now is when things start to get a little bit more serious. If we see a yellow flag, that will mean that we run those laps off the clock. So we no longer have a situation where the race gets neutralized and it doesn't count for anything. When we go, we go. We have 50 more trips around this track. And that's it for the year. That's kind of depressing.
I know. It truly is depressing. Some people have seasonal depression. I have late race depression.
Yeah, that's
and it comes into effect whenever we are here at the Martinsville Speedway. This is such a historic venue. It is classic through and through from 1947 to now. They do a phenomenal job at keeping Martinsville Speedway what I think it was always built to be, which is a racer's racetrack, and it's just tucked into the hillside here in Southern Virginia, and you can see why it's been on the NASCAR calendar ever since the inaugural season when the sport kicked off back in the late 1940s. I can't think of Mazda, and I can't think of an IMSA sanctioned series without thinking of John Doonan, the new president of the International Motorsports Association as of 2019. John was the head guy at Mazda Motorsports for many, many years. Jonathan Applegate has done a good job, filling that role. But John Doonan is a champion of the sport of motorsport. He's a champion of holding relationships, making people feel valued. He moves the needle. He moves the ball across the goal line, whatever you want to say. And this event is in large part due to John Doonan's hard work. And I'm grateful that people in North American motorsports are benefiting from John Doonan's hard work.
All over, whether they know it or not. I mean,
Truly.
John Doonan has been a man of the people since before he became the president of Mazda Motorsport
Absolutely.
North America. And one of my favorite memories was actually interviewing him after Mazda's first win at Watkins Glen, because I was chasing him down the pit lane as he was sprinting away, crying.
Oh.
It was one of those beautiful things that when you see someone, when they've worked for something their whole life and it comes back to them, this race is a realization of one of John Doonan's dreams, which is to share sports car racing and what we do with a different audience. We've done that. We've made fans of other people, but we've made even bigger fans of ourselves. As the choose has happened, Frankie Barroso leads. Outside of him is Nathan Nicholson. Let's see if that works.
Here we go, 50 more laps at the Martinsville Speedway. Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup presented by Michelin sees the green flag fly, and Nathan Nicholson, the pole sitter, disqualified in post-qual tech, now races alongside your leader. He tries to hang tough on the outside. Can he make it a drag race down the back straightaway into 3 and 4? Nicholson will not say die. They're side by side. Is it a pace lap or a race lap here on the restart? Nicholson side by side. Can they go 3 wide down into corner number 1?
Justin Adacona's thought about making it 3 wide, but then he backed out and thought, I'll just follow Barroso around for a little bit more and maybe be able to string Nicholson out. But Nathan is not giving up. He told me earlier today he's here for one reason. He wants to win a race in this championship. And this is going to be a records or checkers for Nathan Nicholson, because the car doesn't need to be repaired until January. We have enough time for that. Adaconis
gets aggressive on braking. There might have been a little bumper-to-bumper contact. He slips on through to the other side. Adaconis takes McCumbee-McAleer Racing back out in front of the Sparks Performance Machine, now running second. That is your pole sitter, Frankie Barroso. How long can he stay up towards the front, and how long will it take Weston Workman, Jeremy Fletcher, and Earl Bamber to work their way back up towards the front? It looks like Fletcher has already gotten back out in front of Weston Workman, because Fletcher is scored in the 4th position. Side-by-side racing. Barroso liked the look of the lead. He wants it back, and he'll take it on the exit of turn number 4. The pole sitter puts his foot down. Wow, what performance are we seeing out of Frankie Barroso, a man who's only done a few races in this championship ever before. Raced here last year on the oval, did not get the result he was looking for, came back, and now he's here with the vengeance. But Justin Adaconis is another guy who refuses to let this go. He made his series debut beginning of the year at Daytona, wound up running the full season, 4th in the rookie long championship, but his best finish was a podium, and that was in the last race of the season, Tony, just a few weeks ago. Yeah, it really says a lot about Nicholson's speed and consistency to be right there for the championship all the way down to the very end without standing on the top of a single race podium. Nicholson is running in that 2nd position, a little bit farther back. Brandon Pierce, well, he's a lot farther back. He scored in the 15th position currently. He and both Tom Long talked about something they learned last year was not underdriving the car. Nobody had ever raced a Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup car on an oval before, so a lot of drivers went in with tepid expectations. That's side-by-side racing between Jagger Jones
and Justin Adaconis.
Adaconis starting to slip back just a little bit, but lots of drivers, Shea talked about, not under-driving the car. Capers Zentmeyer, the Martinsville local, is in the 65. He's going to hip check his way around the 23 to move up to what should be the 6th position, as now here's Nicholson looking for the lead down in 3. The Bloomington, Indiana driver goes to the top spot.
Oh, and there was contact further back. There was a bit of debris that came off of someone's car. I didn't see if it was Fletcher or if it was Nicholson, but that was quite a bit of debris on the outside of the oval now as Weston Workman got into the back of Fletcher.
Saw that debris fly off the cars, I think, in 2nd and 3rd. Down to Matt Yoakum as the yellow flag will fly. Matt, what do you got?
So the yellow flag's out, but you were talking just about driving styles here at Martinsville. And for years when Kyle Petty would run the Cup Series, here at Martinsville, he would let off around start-finish, and people would think that the engine was blowing up, but he would basically go easy entry, and because he got out of the throttle so soon, he was able to get back in the gas in the center of the corner for great forward bite off. And so that's what different guys like Weston Workman, you know, Frankie Barroso, and you're also talking about Brandon Pierce. That's the strategy, that's the technique that they're using here that they learned last year. Try to help themselves from center out so they can get a run down the backstretch. And remember, they're also shifting. So they're going from 2nd to 3rd and then back down to 2nd when they get to the corner.
Brandon Pierce, the driver we're talking about, giving me a little bit of notes saying, hey, last year, you know, I underdrove the car. I want to be more aggressive. Well, he's one of the oval ringers, I guess you could say. Remember when NASCAR used to go to their 1 or 2 road courses a year? Well, they'd call in road course ringers. Well, here it's Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup looking for oval ringers. Brandon Pierce has raced with the Cars Late Model Stock Tour since 2017. He's got a win, 11 top 5s, and 34 top 10s to his credit. And he's raced here at Martinsville quite a bit before, including one of their crown jewel events, the Valley Star Credit Union 300. It's a major pavement late model race here at Martinsville. He's running 17, 18, and 24. He went 5th to 3rd. In the Credit Union 300 back in 2018. That's the Valley Star Credit Union. And you never know who you'll see jump up into the booth. John, we can't give you a headset, but talk to the world right now.
Hey, everybody from Martinsville. How about this Mazda MX-5 Cup racing?
It's something, and you're something. Hey, I don't want to freak you out now because I've never seen someone look so good in a sweater vest eating a Martinsville hot dog as you, but we did have a live shot of Jonathan Applegate with 2 of them in his hands. Do you have a rebuttal?
I can't compete with Jay Apple. He put it away with the best of it.
Well, he's got his dunks on in case a basketball game breaks out later on tonight. Work the Mazda race at 7, hoop at 8. You never know what'll happen. John, thanks for everything you do for the sport.
Yeah.
Hey, thrilled to be here and really appreciate everybody tuning in. I said it at the banquet. Shea was there. I'll put any of these drivers toe-to-toe with any drivers in the world. I talked to Earl earlier. He is having a blast out there tonight, but it just proves that the racing up front here at MX-5 is not for the faint of heart. You look at the grid in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, and so many of the drivers have had the opportunity to come learn in the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup, and yeah, it's special racing, and I've been thrilled to be part of it on this side, and now thrilled to have it in the IMSA portfolio. So
There's nothing better than when we get Mazdas out on a track, John, and it's even better when we get world-class drivers who want to come participate in this. I mean, when you saw the entry list, what was your first thought?
Yeah, thrilled that Earl got the opportunity, but obviously, you know, I've had a long relationship with Tom Long, and to see Tom in the field, having a different night tonight than he had here last year, but I remember we went to Japan and picked out this platform to go racing with, and obviously it puts on an amazing show. So everybody enjoy the show. I'll let you guys get back to it.
We're getting back to green flag as it goes out. Once again, Nathan Nicholson leading the cars to green. Frankie Barroso on the outside. Right behind Nathan is Jeremy Fletcher, and Weston Workman pushing him. That inside line has been able to get going better on the restarts, but we still have drivers sticking it out on the outside, Tony. They believe, but right now Nicholson is going, believe all you want, but believe my back bumper, because that's all you're going to see.
Yeah, Nicholson got a great start, and that inside line is where everybody knows they need to be. We watched Jared Thomas and Weston Workman race door-to-door inside the final 5 laps here 1 year ago, but Nathaniel Sparks told me you can run around the outside here and run side by side, but it's not just going to slow the car down on the outside, it's going to slow both cars down. So if you can make a pass and you commit to it and get it done quickly, okay, it might work for a lap or two, but don't think you're going to live on the outside and rip 5, 10, 15 laps, finding speed up at the top. Everybody knows that if you're going to make moves and complete positions, you've got to get down to the inside.
Ooh, and contact as Earl Bamber gets hit by one of the Tovos Tovo twins, and he winds up getting into the outside. Who was that on the outside? That was the 78. As into the wall went another car. I didn't see which one that was, but the barrels have actually been shifted based on that. As into the pit lane comes Bamber. I think it was Ethan Tovo who got into Bamber and started that whole thing.
And this is what we see. I talked to a couple car owners. Chad McCumbee said that he thought the level of aggression in last year's race started quite earlier. In fact, he gave me a number. I'd love to know how he figured this, but he said things started out a little chippy and getting aggressive 30% earlier than they should have last year. I think the first 50 laps of this race was fairly clean. You didn't see too much, contact, too much physical style racing. But boy, now that they know they're in these last 50 and this is what pays, boy, now the claws are starting to come out a little bit.
Yeah, the claws have started to come out, but the good news is that all that contact is not enough to try and take out one of these Mazda MX-5 Cup cars. They are built better than that. Earl brought the car into the pit lane. This car, which is nicknamed Turbo, by the way, the number 31 for Hendricks Motorsport, it's owned by Russell Wittenberg. He is a Porsche racer out of Daytona, Florida, normally, as we do now have one of the Tovo twins out of his car and being taken off by the AMR safety team. He got out under his own power, so do not worry about that. This is all the normal precautions, and we're grateful, Tony, that we have that AMR safety team race in and race out. Those men and women, they're the ones who allow us to do the sport that we love.
Yeah, it looks like Ethan Tovo there, and I talked about it. We haven't had a lot of time to talk with the Tovo twins because they've been so busy preparing in their first ever weekend here with Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup racing. Here's a replay for you of what happened. Earl Bamber is in that black and red number 31 Whelen machine, and he comes down, and there's a car there. And I truly think that's just an instance of oval track racing. We were just talking about you really can't live on the top side around the outside here, Shay. I think that was just a case of Earl trying to get down to the inside as soon as he could. The only problem was there was a car there.
Was the other car as far down as he could have been? That's the other question.
Yeah, that's a good point, too. I don't necessarily think that the inside car was right up against the curb, and so definitely something to look at there. But yeah, I think that's just what happens when you have cars bunched up super close and super tight to each other around a very narrow half-mile paved course here in Martinsville, Virginia.
We don't call it trophy handing out. We call it racing for a reason.
I like that. Here's another look at it as there was a little bit of room down there on the inside, but momentum, you can't just get down to the curb instantly on corner entry. It's a long set of corners here at Martinsville. So I truly do think you can just chalk that up as a racing incident. And I certainly don't think Tovo's out there headhunting for a Le Mans winner. And it's just hey, you get down there tight in the corner. Also, the track transitions from asphalt to concrete. That's a little bit more slippery. These cars are struggling for grip on a restart. So all that plays into factoring into an accident like that as they continue to pace under yellow. Might be looking at a short delay here for these barrels. Let's check in with Matt Yoakum down in the infield.
Now, guys, we talk a lot about the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup Series. The one thing I love are the special paint schemes. And Sonny Whelen and his family, for decades, longtime supporters on track and off, great racers, so passionate. And when they jump on board a cause, it's all in. They've teamed up with the Michael J. Fox Foundation, which, by the way, Team Fox for Parkinson's research. Now, Parkinson's, basically, it's a brain issue that basically a disorder, and there's a number of folks each year, 90,000 new cases. But Michael J. Fox and the Whelen family, they're all on board. In fact, when you look at the Michael J. Fox Foundation, over the course of the past decade or so, they have raised over $2.5 billion with a B. And then you also look at the Whelen family, millions and millions that they have donated to the cause. And if you too would like to jump on board and be a part of this winning effort to eradicate Parkinson's disease and the fastest growing brain disease in the world, more than 6 million people live with this disease. You can jump on board, and it's very simple. Just go to racingforareason.research. And it's such a wonderful program that they're putting together. And like I said, Michael J. Fox. But also, you can just see the great passion that's involved with this. And I love that we see throughout the entire year, different functions that Team Fox and the Whelen family continue to put together to try to help raise money and eradicate this challenging disease.
Isn't that something that the Whelen family does? And obviously, we're grateful for their support, not just of Mazda MX-5 Cup racing. They've been a longtime partner with the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship and all their subsidiaries. But yeah, to take on a foundation, to partner with a foundation like Team Fox, and to have that car help raise money in terms of a giveaway, you just can't say thank you enough to the Whelen family for everything they do for the sport.
No, you really can't, and especially with the whole Team Fox organization. I mean, at the season end banquet, we were fortunate enough to have a representative come up and speak, and to have Sonny Whelen speak as well. Just everything that they have done so far as research and getting closer to finding a cure, it's really a wonderful thing to keep bringing attention to, and I know it's near and dear to your heart too, Matt.
Absolutely, and remember last year here, Tony, we gave away a car to a fan, and there's so many different things throughout the year, golf tournaments, you name it. It's all for such a great cause. So jump on board, racingforacure.giving. Racingforacure.giving. Jump on board, a great team, and let's put this disease in the rearview mirror.
That's great to hear about Team Fox, and again, the Whelen family doing so much to make that possible. Hey, another great cause, now that we've got a little bit of time to talk, is we have gone to a red flag condition here with the track repair taking place over there on the attenuator. That's been a bit of a hot button word the last couple of months and year in racing, but those barrels down there at the front of the wall at the start of the back straightaway, we've got that repair going on. So you talked about it during the Open, Shay. Tom Long, who is such a friend of Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup racing, before Fliss Performance took over being the car constructor, it was Tom's family's business, Long Road Racing out of North Carolina, that was the car constructor of these MX-5 Roadsters that turned them in to MX-5 Cup race cars. Glenn is here today. Got to see him walking around. Love the Long family. I'll never forget the tour Alana gave me of the shop when I came on to work with the series back in 2017. But Tom, as you mentioned, has racing to end Alzheimer's on his race car. I got to meet Phil Frangs, the founder, and just a couple really cool points that have to be hit on this. Over $1.2 million has been raised in 9 seasons of racing with Racing to End Alzheimer's. All donations, this is crazy, all donations are matched by founder Phil Frangs. It was inspired by Phil's late wife being diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's back at the age of 60, and 100% of all donations that are made towards Racing to End Alzheimer's are going straight towards the charity and finding a cure. No donation money is ever put towards racing. They have a tribute car with names being honored. It runs in the IMSA GS class, and a $250 donation gets family members' names on the car. You can learn more by heading to R2, that's the letter R, the number 2, R2endalz.org on Facebook and Instagram. It's Racing to End Alzheimer's. Again, R2endalz.org.
And it's a wonderful thing. I mean, you go to the racetrack and you get to see all these names being remembered on the side of a car for such a terrible disease that affects so many people, and so many people within our paddock even in IMSA. But this car this weekend that Tom is racing for Hendricks Motorsport, I mentioned they've had a difficult day. They were struggling with a brake issue, which meant ultimately that Tom didn't get to do any effective laps in practice. This car, nicknamed Charlotte, the car owner is Mark White. Mark White has spent more than 15 years as the lead doctor for the Infield Care Center at Daytona International Speedway. Big time racing fan, big time medical fan also, as somebody who's trying to raise awareness. So for them to pair up the Racing to End Alzheimer's organization with Hendricks Motorsport, it kind of all came together, and there was no more fitting person to represent that charity and that team than Tom Long.
Big thanks to Phil Frangs, as well as Connor Burke, for bringing us a little bit of that information. Let's go back down to the infield and check in with Matt Yoakum.
And we have a long way to go. Now, remember back to last year, we had that late caution, which really shook everything up. And if you're Brandon Pierce, the 29-year-old, he could be sitting in a great position, currently 10th. But when you look at racing, and we've documented it so many times, it's one big family. And when you look at the Pierce family, now Brandon's grandfather was a Goodies Dash Series owner. His dad, Van, participates every year on the Kyle Petty charity ride, and being around the charity ride, you make friends and family. And Bill and Gail Davis, longtime Cup, Xfinity, and Truck Series owners, they made some fast friends. Now, if you saw the pictures of the go-karts, that's Brandon at the age of 8 racing Kevin Harvick at a little track next to Harvick's house. That would be a Thursday night show, especially in the off-season on Sundays. And he learned some lessons from Harvick, but also he learned where Victory Lane is because of the affiliation with the great Gail and Bill Davis family. When Skinner went to Victory Lane, guess who was sitting on top of the pit box? 9-year-old Brandon Pierce. Not once, not twice, but 3 times when Skinner went to Victory Lane here at Martinsville, Brandon was there to partake in the pictures and the celebrations. So he knows where Victory Lane is. He just wasn't older than 10. Maybe he'll break that record and get it as an adult, a trip to Martinsville's incredible Victory Lane.
Brendan Pierce is a 29-year-old out of the state of North Carolina. When he's not racing cars, he works at a marble and granite shop, and he told me in the pit area yesterday that he learned about halfway to 3/4 through the race last year what to do with these race cars and how hard they need to be driven. It's all about finessing the car, but still not under driving it, is what Brandon Pierce told me. And I believe he was one of the McCumbee McAleer Racing drivers, as well as the Tovo twins, who was actually making laps yesterday, but not here at the Martinsville Speedway, as it was purely a load-in day. The Ace Speedway, about an hour southeast of here, back in North Carolina. The team hit that on their way up here to Martinsville, and I believe both Tovos, I think Brandon Pierce himself, as well as car owner Chad McCumbee, co-owner of McCumbee McAleer Racing, was able to climb behind the wheel. It was the Tovo twins' first ever laps on an MX-5 Cup platform. That was their introduction to it. They helped load in the cars here last night, and then they were out on track in anger with the rest of the field at a 12 noon practice session. But that's what you get with McCumbee McAleer Racing. Their whole deal is when you show up here, Chad told me, we don't care if you go out and win races or finish at the back of the grid, you're going to be a better driver than when you arrived here, when you leave McCumbee McAleer Racing, and they take it seriously. They test on their way to races. They pull off the side of the highway, find a short track, Ace Speedways where they went yesterday, and those drivers were able to get some laps in preparation for this weekend.
Well, and Tony, we've seen it in practice today. I mean, every time you or I went over to talk to the Tovo twins, it seemed like Stu McAleer had one by each hand, not practically, but, you know, he was walking them back to the trailer to say, all right, we're going to look at video. I'm going to show you what you did right, what you did wrong, what you can improve upon. And it's not like Stu McAleer has a ton of oval experience, but he has a lot of racing experience. So that's when it comes into play. Chad McCumbee, on the other hand, has racing experience, oval experience. This is his mecca. You're combining our cars, our MX-5 Cup cars, and he's been a champion in Miata in sports car racing and turning left and right. He's been a champion on short tracks, on turning left. And he actually met Brandon Pierce running in the Z-Max Cars Tour, where Brandon runs the number 2. It just happens to have a bow tie on it instead of the Mazda logo.
That Cars Late Model Tour racing is really fantastic stuff. Ever since Dale Jr. and Jeff Burton and Kevin Harvick got involved, that series is just exploding and growing really, really well. And it's fun to watch, and I can't wait to see more racing out of that series. I know they just wrapped up their season, I believe, at North Wilkesboro last weekend. But it's cool to have some oval specialists come and race in these road course prepared race cars. Jagger Jones gave me a great quote. He said, these cars out on the oval feel just like they do on a road course. They're not built to race on an oval, but they're fun to race on an oval. They put on good racing. The cleanup down there at the exit of turn 2 at the start of the back straightaway looks to have finished up. They were getting water out to all the drivers parked on the back straightaway. If you saw the safety trucks rolling along and stopping, talking to the drivers, they were getting all of those drivers parked in their cars the chance for some cold, fresh water. Big thanks to Aaron Sekel with Sunday Group and Mazda MX-5 Cup PR for sending us updates like that. Speaking of Sunday Group, Matt Cleary has gotten the remote at the retirement home. He is tuned in.
Oh, good.
He's watching. It's late for him. But, you know, he can't miss this kind of racing. We're grateful he's tuned in.
Well, and another person who we're really grateful is tuned in is Jensen Altzman. And Jensen has actually done the calculations. If you were to win the $25,000 prize and go down to buy a hot dog at the hot dog stand, you could go home with 14,285.71 hot dogs. Now, Jensen, I would like to know, how do you calculate where on the hot dog to cut it off to get that 0.71?
Yeah, exactly. Where do we draw the line on the hot dog? And how much heartburn will I have if I eat that many hot dogs? Shay, have you had a chance? Have you sampled the local wares here.
I got shamed into it earlier because there were so many people in the garage going, what do you mean you haven't tried one? So yeah, I did walk over earlier. I can confirm it was saturating the bun to an unnatural red color, but it was delicious.
Some of the best things that have ever happened in my life happened after I got guilted into them, so I'm glad you can start to share that same trend as well. The red flag has been lifted here at the Martinsville Speedway, and cars resume to yellow flag, caution, pace, as the stoppage came on lap 69, as we will get going here and continue to make our way towards a $25,000 payday here. Mazda MX-5 Cup Racing putting real money back into the pockets of these drivers.
Yes, they are. Back into the pit lane once again is Earl Bamber. The work continues on that Hendricks Motorsport car, trying to get it perfect, not losing any time or distance while the yellow flag is out. So that is good news that the Hendricks team is able to take advantage of that and make sure that everything is pointed in the right direction as we continue to circulate behind the Whelen Mazda safety car.
Good shot right there of Shea Holbrook walking around taking a look at one of her drivers. That's Earl Bamber getting more service to his number 31 after the crash that brought out this red flag and stoppage of the race.
That's actually Kimi Hendricks, the team owner of Hendricks Motorsport, Shea
yes.
with BSI.
That would make sense because Earl Bamber's racing for Hendricks. I don't know where I got screwed up there. Kimi Hendricks, awesome to talk to. Spirit of Daytona, has worked with Riley Technologies. She's fielding a couple cars here, Tom Long, Earl Bamber, and she competed in this event last year with several drivers. Andy Jankowiak came over from ARCA to race with Kimi. And yeah, Kimi, sorry about that, calling you out, but Shea also has a couple cars in this field.
Well, the problem that you have is that there are two Shays, and there's one standing next to you in the booth. So that subtle unconsciousness of Shea is just everywhere.
I'm Shaying out right now.
Exactly. There's just too many of us. Well, now Earl has lost a lap as the safety car passed. He will lose one more as the safety car comes around again. The laps go quickly here at Martinsville Speedway, and the safety car lights are still on, but we'll see for how much longer they stay on. And
Another
if
lap.
this is when the choose is happening, it is. Diving down to the bottom, Nicholson, Fletcher, Workman. It is then Jagger Jones who pulls into fourth, the first car to go to the outside.
Should be Barroso.
Frankie Barroso.
He's a risk taker. I love it. I love it. Frankie Barroso. That choose, we haven't even talked about it, but it's pretty easy to understand. Drivers split that V just past the start-finish line. It allows these drivers to take their fate back into their own hands a little bit here. If you don't want to restart down on the inside lane and you think you can leapfrog a few cars and make it work for you on the outside, well, that is what the choose allows here for the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup presented by Michelin drivers at the Martinsville Speedway. 72 laps complete here as yellow flags do count towards the lap count here. Back into the restart zone, the green flag waves, and it's Nathan Nicholson bringing the field down into that opening corner. Frankie Barroso, he led at the initial start. He led on the lap 51 restart, and he's fighting now with Jeremy Fletcher for that second position. Fletcher is your 2025 series champion. He's got a little bit of help from right behind. That's Weston Workman. I don't think they'll be helping each other out in a few more laps here when they get to the front. But Fletcher able to solidly clear himself and get out to the second position.
And Workman doing a very fine job to hang on to that fourth position, but how long will he be patient there? He knows that these last 26 laps are going to disappear quickly. Workman looking to the inside, realizes he has to stay behind, and all of a sudden Nathan Nicholson's giant gap that he had at the front of the field is gone, as further back we are too wide. Jagger Jones holding down the inside. It's Caper Zentmeyers who goes around him through the outside. Genius move by that number 65 machine.
Enough can't be said about Caper Zentmeyer. He's the local man who lives about 2 miles from the Martinsville Speedway. He's trying to hold off Jagger Jones as they're side by side, a little bit of bumping and grinding right there through the middle of turns 3 and 4, fighting for the 5th position. Give it to Jagger. Caper Zentmeyer, a chiropractor in his off time when he's not being an MX-5 Cup racer. He joked and said, if I win, we're just going to start handing out neck and back adjustments to everybody in the crowd tonight. He'll go get his table and get to work.
Let's go, Caper, then, as he tries to make the move up the inside of Jagger Jones. That battle refuses to go away. The lead four peeling off just a tiny bit as the battle continues. Caper gets the spot. He's into P5.
Caper says after an August test session here with the series where he ran nearly 400 laps around the Martinsville Speedway. He got feeling much more comfortable. That's not a shock to hear. When you get that much seat time, it's going to help out a lot. He started 14th in this race last year, Shea, and Zentmeyer drove all the way up to 5th. Don't tell me being a local doesn't have its benefits.
Definitely does for Caper, and he is a guy who's very familiar with Mazdas. His first Mazda race car, an old-style Miata, an NA8. He stepped up the next year to an NB, won 24 of 31 races that he contested in that thing last year. It was a very impressive chance for Capers, and clearly he likes racing Mazdas, really likes racing Mazdas when he can sleep in his own bed.
Coming up on 20 laps to go, Matt Yoakum got to check in with this driver and team at the start of the race. He has an update here at the end of their night. Fight for the lead before we go to Matt as Jeremy Fletcher pulls even and is now going to get out ahead of Nathan Nicholson. Change for the lead here, coming to see 20 laps to go. Jeremy Fletcher to the top spot, Nicholson back to second. Question is now, what does Weston Workman do? Workman, he's got pressure from behind as well. Frankie Barroso has just been learning and getting better and better as this race goes on. It is a 3-car fight at the front of this pack, and Barroso joins, tags right there at the tail of Weston Workman. It's a 4-car train for the lead. Nicholson's going to dive down to the inside of the front straightaway. He's looking low, he's looking high, but Fletcher has that inside corner entry line covered. Nobody's able to get down on the curbing and get around it.
Weston Workman just needs to be patient. The 2 cars in front of him are only interested in winning the race. They might take each other out and open the door for Weston.
Wow, I mean, this is absolutely aggressive driving right now. Not necessarily in a negative sense, but Nathan Nicholson is not holding back at all, swerving down the straightaways, forcing Jeremy Fletcher to pick a line and stay there. Nicholson has gotten back out in front, and Shea, you're exactly right. Workman, or whoever is in third, kind of has that luxury of sitting back and watching what happens up in front of them. But with all this side-by-side racing, it's going to turn from a 1- and 2-car leader to a 3, 4, now maybe even 5-car pack for the lead here as they head down inside of 20 laps to go through 1 and 2. Is that Capers Zentmeyer? Yes, it is. The Martinsville local finds himself throwing his hat in the ring to race for the lead here. Zentmeyer around the outside in 3 and 4. Barroso's going to get the 4th position away from him. Fletcher in 3rd, Workman 2nd. Nicholson leads him down into 1.
And he's leading with 16 laps to go. Nathan doesn't care about the next 15. He just wants to be out front for the final one. Just to put a bow on the story with Earl Bamber, that car has retired due to a bent toe link, so we will not be seeing the 31 Hendricks Motorsport car again. But right now, all we are focusing on are the lead 6, as now Justin Ataconis has reeled in the top runners once again. This is wide open.
This is the kind of racing I feel like IMSA fans are very accustomed to seeing with Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup presented by Michelin competition. Last year, it was the Jared Thomas show. Weston Workman kept him very honest, I will say, but it was Jared Thomas's race. Now, it's a 6-car pack for the lead, and this is what you see when these cars race around road and street courses during their regular season following the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship round. Whether it's the Daytona International Speedway Rolex 24 road course, the St. Petersburg Grand Prix with IndyCar, Road America, the streets of Toronto, Road Atlanta, it doesn't matter. This side-by-side tight pack racing is what MX-5 Cup is truly known for.
Our season total margin of victories are normally less than 5 seconds. That's including 14 races. So we are used to close racing. But coming to Martinsville, it just changes everything that tiny little bit as Fletcher dives down toward the inside. He's trying to keep up with the lead too, but right now it looks like the battle for this one is going to come down to Workman and Nicholson.
Matt Yoakum, keep your eye on the scoreboard. Talk to us about Capers Zentmeyer.
Just look for the car with the lights on, number 65 running P5 construction. And they finished wrapping the car this morning. Their shop is right outside turns 3 and 4. They could have driven it down the hill right into the racetrack. And this is a guy, this is his home racetrack, like you guys mentioned. First came here when he was 6 years old. He told me, I cannot even begin to dream of what it would be to win here at Martinsville and score a clock.
It'd be something for sure. Racing for the lead Well, it doesn't heat up, it just stays hot here. Hot like a hot and ready pizza, like the one on the side of Weston Workman's number 13. That's what you call a sponsor plug. The driver of the 13 runs in second now. He now begins to look high and look low on Nathan Nicholson. He did not have a very good corner entry there. That opened the door for Fletcher, but Workman slams the door on the 2025 Series champion. Fletcher loses momentum. That allows your pole sitter, the number 50 of Barroso, to draw even and pull away. Move Barroso now to the third position.
And that, I think, is exactly what Workman wanted to happen, because it means that now Fletcher is no longer hounding his rear bumper. It allows Workman to focus forward. As we are down to 9 laps to go, this is getting really serious.
Well,
the battle for third is on.
I spoke way too early. You can't give Barroso the third position yet because Jeremy Fletcher is not giving it up, not even thinking about it. Now Barroso finally goes door bumper clear on that third place battle, but just like that, Fletcher crosses him over and comes right back down to the inside. It's a drag race down the back straightaway, and Shay, this is entertaining, this is fun, but the more side-by-side racing Fletcher and Barroso do, the farther out in front Nicholson and Workman get.
And Nicholson right now is not being reeled in by Workman. Their lap times are very nearly matching each other as the two cars continuing to pull away, but it looks like Workman maybe just is saving something for the final moments of this race, as now he's getting a good draft on Nicholson, and he's back up on the bumper of the Watt car.
Everybody knows you've got to save your stuff, but again, Michelin brings such a good tire. Chad McCumbee told me you can run 100 qualifying laps on the Michelin tire they bring to Martinsville and you'll be fine. It's about saving the chassis. It's about saving the bodywork and making sure you have the piece to go out there and race for the lead. Coming around to see 5 to go, this time by the driver who had to start at the tail of the field after qualifying, leads them down. He'll see the open hand of our starter, 95 in, Shay, 5 laps to go.
Weston Workman had a look around the outside of Nathan Nicholson going through 3 and 4. Nicholson just moved up slightly as if to say no, 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 and it meant that Workman had to back out. He was fine, kept his composition, did Weston Workman, and reevaluated where can I try and make the winning pass. I bet it won't take Weston Workman 4 more laps to get to the lead, if indeed he can get around Nathan Nicholson.
Yeah, this is so reminiscent of what Weston Workman had to suffer through when it was all said and done 1 year ago, chasing Jared Thomas around, but it was inside of 5 to go as the yellow flag waves and the Whelen track lights turn yellow.
The 78 was just up into the wall. That's Ruben Caceres, who was up for Spark Performance. He was in the wall between turns 3 and 4, has managed to continue and regain his position, but that means that we are set up for a green, white, checkered, Tony Laporta.
Yeah, and so the rules coming from a joint NASCAR and IMSA race control staff on this one are as follows. We're going to reorder the field here and kind of, it doesn't really matter what the lap count is when we get down to it. If it's 99, if it's 100, if we know that we're not going to naturally finish on lap 100, we're going to get one attempt at a green-white checker here, meaning once the field is reordered and in the correct starting positions, they will get a chance to hit the choose and split the rows and find out if maybe they can advance their position by electing to go to the outside, jump a car or 2 or 3. We saw that late in the race last year. Once everybody is reordered and ready for the restart, they will come around, they will see a green, they will see a white, and then they will see a checker. If any other flag comes out after that green flag on our one attempt of a green-white checker, obviously the only other option is a yellow, that next flag would end it. So it's either going to be a checkered or a yellow that will end this race.
Meaning we will either get a completion of the lap, or we're going to have effectively a victory lap, a cool-down lap behind a slower pace, if you will.
Wow, this is Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup presented by Michelin. We know drama. That's the joke with this series, because the racing is always edge of your seat. I tell John Doonan, Mazda MX-5 Cup will sell you the whole seat, but you're only going to need the edge, as that is what I think a lot of this crowd is inching up towards here at the Martinsville Speedway. Maybe it's what Drew and Charlie Bergwall are inching up to on the edge of their seats back at home as they watch live on IMSA YouTube, down to Matt Yoakum.
And Weston Workman told me that when he watched this race back after last year, the lesson learned was you don't want to be in the lead if you get a green-white checkered. So now that he's got a chance to choose, he's running second. My guess, my prognostication, he's going to go ahead and choose the inside. So he'll actually be restarting third, but he'll be on that preferred bottom lane. And let's watch for the possible bump and run.
Prognostication. See, I can't even say it. I try not to use words I can't spell, but that's why we're lucky to have Matt Yoakum on this broadcast crew. And Matt brings up a great point, Shay. If Weston Workman wanted to here on this choose, he could have elected to go to the outside and jump up to the front. I don't believe, I guess they did hit the choose there.
Nope.
Workman, no, they did not. I would say lights are still on.
We just have some discussions about order in the field between some of our drivers.
Before we go to the choose.
Not from us, not from race control, from them.
Yeah.
There's been a little bit of side-to-side from Kate Presentmeyer and Justin Ataconis, but hopefully they've been told over the radio which way to go. But I was going to ask Tony, I wasn't here last year, you were. Wasn't it a restart where Weston Workman was P1 and he was gently ushered out of the way?
I think that's Matt Yoakum's report's point, is that Workman said, now it'll be the choose here. I don't want to be in front at the restart here. Now, what Workman could have done there, he elects the inside and he'll stay effectively in the third position because it's Fletcher who elects the outside lane. He'll jump up to second. Workman could have, gambled a little bit there and jumped to the outside of the front row and tried to drag race your race leader, Nathan Nicholson, but he chose to play the safe hand, go to the inside here, as we've seen lap after lap after lap here. The inside is the preferred line in these Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup Roadsters. They were purpose-built street cars that have been given a second chance at life as race cars, and racing is what they are about to do for $25,000. They come into the restart zone for our one attempt at a green-white checker. Nathan Nicholson brings them to the green flag. 2 laps to go here at Martinsville.
And it is Nathan Nicholson who takes the green flag alongside Jeremy Fletcher. Jeremy trying to go the long way around and make it stick. We've seen him being very stubborn about that outside lane, trying to make it work, and they are still side by side. Jeremy going way wide into 3. Is he going to be able to take the lead?
From the first lap to this last lap, the white flag flies, and it always leaves you wondering, is it a pace lap or is it a race lap with Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup competition? Nathan Nicholson has cleared the field. He brings them out of 2 and down the back straightaway from Bloomington, Indiana, a town that has created some legends in the sport of motorsport. It wasn't easy. Oh, he gets moved up out of the way. Fletcher gets to the front. He hip checks Nicholson out of the way. It's going to be a drag race to the line. Weston Workman at the finish line sends up in second as it's Fletcher scored the race winner.
What? By how much on that timing screen? 0.0003. 3 thousandths of a second, the difference between the BSI racing driver and the McCumbee-McAleer racing driver of Jeremy Fletcher. Now we wait to see, is there any kind of ruling that's going to come down from race control to change the order of the top 3? But we do know that the top 3 cars, Jeremy Fletcher, Weston Workman, how about Jagger Jones up into 3rd?
Here you go. Jeremy Fletcher starts everything off by moving Nicholson up and out of the way. Nicholson fights back, as you would expect him to do. Fletcher gets caught up in the craziness. That slows his momentum. Weston Workman gets on the loud pedal down on the inside of the front straightaway, and then it's an all-out drag race to the line. And I couldn't call that. That's why we paused here up in the booth, because that's about as close as you could get. But electronic timing and scoring names Jeremy Fletcher, the driver from Florida, as your winner of Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup, presented by Michelin's second ever race on an oval here at the Martinsville Speedway. That is the kind of finish and racing MX-5 Cup fans can be used to.
Jeremy Fletcher, this would be his 5th win of the 2025 season. And keep in mind, he's already gotten the big check for $250,000 cash that he got about 2 weeks ago. He's going to add 25 grand to that total and a beautiful new clock.
Martinsville Speedway, he's out of the car. He can hear you. How about it for your 2025 champion and your Martinsville winner? That's Jeremy Fletcher. The young man, again, fortunate to say I got to grow up watching this kid race go-karts at the Ocala Grand Prix. He's from St. Cloud, Florida, and he's got the holster store and the gun store on the side of his race car as proud sponsors, and he had a successful 2025 with 4 main event victories. Weston Workman, 2 years in a row, ends up on the front straightaway, but in second, and classy as always as he comes over to celebrate with Fletcher. Let's hear it from our winner and go downstairs to Matt Yoakum.
And Jeremy Fletcher and Weston Workman, they hugged, high-fived. How do you even describe what we witnessed there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was pretty similar to how last year went for us, but a lot better this time. Nice paycheck, but I can't thank the McCumbee McAleer family. Dalton Dow, Doc on the radio, these guys do everything for me. Simpson Racing Products, and we came here to win this time, and we got it done after a nice championship year. So I can't thank everybody enough, all the fans out here coming and supporting us. It's an honor to be out here, and so happy we could get the win.
Certainly a dream season. You cap it off with a win here at the iconic Martinsville Speedway. Where are you going to put the clock?
Grandma will tell me what to do with that. She's the one that's really been wanting it, so happy I could bring her home a present.
When you look at how everything transpired, and then you had to race and do a drag race back to start-finish, did you think you had him, or it was too close to call?
It was too close to call. I know Weston was pretty strong off the bottom coming off the corner, and I think we struggled a little bit there, but I got powered down. I was wound up in 3 and 4, and we got it done, baby.
Jeremy Fletcher, he'll be taking home a clock winner here at the Martinsville Speedway.
Hey, Jeremy, nice burnouts, my friend. We talked about that before the weekend even began, as he gets a nice big hug from Stu McAleer, part of the McCumbee McAleer team ownership chat out there, too. The young man who he gave a big hug to is his brother from another mother. It's his crew chief, his lead engineer, and the man who's been with him through this entire championship season. They're winners in Martinsville now, Tony.
I think Matt Yoakum is trying to wrangle Weston Workman down there. We joked and said if he could get the victory, he would do, instead of victory donuts, he might do victory pizza pies. But for the second year in a row, Workman, due to absolutely no lack of effort, certainly ends up on the front straightaway, but in the second position. And he'll have to watch Jeremy Fletcher celebrate. Let's see if Matt Yoakum is able to wrangle Weston Workman down there on the front straightaway.
Certainly a lot of celebration going on down here. And Weston Workman, last year, second. I don't think he could have made it any thrilling, and the effort that went in, it was a drag race to the line.
It was, and honestly, it sucks to finish second 2 years in a row, but I'm just happy to be here, man. It's such a privilege. Thank you to all these fans for coming out tonight. I'm glad we put on a show for y'all. Fletcher, he really deserved it tonight. He was a fast car. He's the champion this year in MX-5 Cup. He deserves it. I felt like we did a really good job this evening. We won the stage. We led a lot of laps in stage 1. We got kind of messed up with the invert there, but made my way back up there. And I'm just happy I had a chance to win it there, and just came up a little bit short this weekend. So we'll regroup, and maybe we'll come back again and try it again next year.
Everything happened so fast. We thought on the restart that's where the move would take place, but then on the last lap, going down the backstretch, kind of walk us through what everybody was doing.
Yeah, so, as a racing driver, you kind of study the drivers around you. And I knew these two had gotten into it last year. So I kind of figured they were going to take each other out at some point. So I kind of let Fletcher go by me, and I was just going to let them do their thing. And it looked like the seas had parted ways and opened up for me to come across the bottom and get the win there. But, Fletcher just edged me out a little bit there at the end. But yeah, honestly, I tried to pull a move like last year on the restart. I tried to just full throttle him up the track, but Nicholson held his own. He did a really good job. He was a fast car too. He was fastest in practice. Him and his dad worked so hard, and I hate to see that happen to him. He was also deserving of the win tonight, but a lot of us were. So just, like I said, just happy to be here. Happy we had a chance to win it again. Happy to come home second. Actually, I'm not happy to come home second again, but try it again next year, I guess.
You can see the big smile. Second a year ago, second here tonight for Weston.
The margin of victory much smaller than last year, 3 1/1000ths of a second. And Shay, I'm reminded of the iconic NASCAR finish from 2003 at Darlington between Ricky Craven and Kurt Busch. The have you ever, no I've never, NASCAR on Fox call. That margin of victory was 3 1/1000ths of a second. Jagger Jones, grandson of Parnelli Jones, ends up in the third position. Matt Yoakum should be trackside with the driver, the number 86.
And making our way to P3 for the podium, Jagger Jones. How would you describe this night? Because it was really two different races. the first half and the second half completely like polar opposite.
Yeah, we had a super good car. It was really fun. You know, I'm used to this oval racing, but it's been a little while, and those first 50 laps from my oval experience, it's kind of just ride and save for the last 50. And everyone was pretty smart doing that, and then chaos ensued on the last 50, and I loved that. I was ready for it. I was like, why are we even doing these first 50? Like, let's just start running into each other now.
Well, the chaos was commencing, so how did you put yourself in a position so you could grab a podium?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just statistics. I was 7th, so I had to choose 4th on the outside, and just hope no one pushed up in the track and ran into me, and I got a bit lucky, but really was good at rolling the high side and was able to come home P3.
Jagger Jones, great night. 3rd here at Martinsville.
Great to hear from the podium top 3. Shea Adam, your first trip to Martinsville, MX-5's second trip here to the Oval. What'd you make of it?
This is awesome. I mean, Jeremy Fletcher wins the race. He gets a clock. You know that he's going to be putting that somewhere really special. I know he said his grandma's going to get to choose where it goes, but his grandpa might have some input on that too. Love to see good things happening for good people. Do we have to wait another year before we go oval racing?
Unfortunately, I've been trying to get John Doonan to start an oval-only series for this, but a lot of fun. I really appreciate you joining me up here in the booth this year.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
That's Shea Adam, a veteran of endurance sports car racing broadcast, but she's got a pretty big smile on her face after watching these MX-5 Cup Roadsters race around the historic half mile that has predated even the NASCAR Cup Series. Well, I agree with Shea 1,000%. Do we have to wait a whole year until we get to do this again with the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup presented by Michelin? Unfortunately, the answer as of right now is a resounding yes, but it is always so much fun to see these cars compete out on the half-mile oval here. Big thanks to everybody at Fliss Performance and Mazda Motorsports for all their hard work to make this event, as well as each season of MX-5 Cup racing possible. We're going to take a quick look back here on the night of racing, Mazda MX-5 Cup on the half mile here in Virginia. Jonathan Applegate with his hot dogs and a lot of side-by-side racing. In the end, though, it was the St. Cloud, Florida driver, Jeremy Fletcher, getting the job done. He locks up the championship with the series in 2025 and gets the victory and the $25,000, as well as the Ridgeway clock. For Matt Yoakum and Shea Adam, I'm Tony Laporta. Thanks so very much for watching Mazda MX-5 Cup Racing. You just can't beat it. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We will see you down the road.